Some of the most poisonous people are disguised as family. I hate to say it, but it is the truth. Now, I know that's not the truth for everybody. If you had a wonderful holiday with family that you love and that support you, I am so happy for you. But if you are one of those folks who did not have that experience, whether you tried to tough it out and deal with toxic relationships, or if you chose to not participate to protect yourself, I see you and I get that this can be a really tough time of year for a lot of folks. I'm gonna tell you, me included, but that's okay. I greatly debated making this video. I almost made a yay family, awesome family books video, and then decided I wasn't feeling it. I was really feeling this. And so I pulled my, right now, top 5 favorite novels that deal with dysfunctional families or have dysfunctional families as part of the narrative. I hope even if you had a great holiday or you're looking forward to seeing more family over the next set of holidays, that you still find books that you might enjoy. But again, if you're not in that camp, that maybe this list helps you see that you're not alone. And I see you, and these authors see you, and there's stuff for you. And so I'm just gonna jump in right here. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is The Life We Bury by Eskens. And I read this for book club in November, so I have not done my full review of it. I'm not going to do that here. If you are interested in this book or the next one, I read both of them since the last time I did a book review video, so I will be doing a review video for them within the next week or so. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It might even be lit up right now because I said hit the subscribe button, and you'll be sure to be able to see those videos when they come out. So briefly, this is the story of Joe Talbert, and the reason this book is in this list is because his mother is an alcoholic who is not interested in not being an alcoholic. She also really enjoys taking off for days at a time to go to the casino. Joe has basically raised himself and spent a lot of his childhood also taking care of his younger brother, who is a person with autism and really can't stay on his own. So the mother here, Joe has escaped to college. The mother calls him and basically wants him to give up all of the college things and basically bail her out of jail, give up all of his money, take care of the brother, miss all of his classes, and give up his life to fix her problems. And the whole book is really good. I'm just gonna focus on that part, but it's so well done, and the way the author really sees what being that kind of neglected child, the kind of resilience you have to develop in those types of situations, and how he's able to use that in this suspense thriller, more suspense thriller I would say than mystery, works really, really well. And very, very, sorry to spoil my next video, but I very, very much recommend this one, whether you can relate to Joe or not. The second book is Emilia Hart's Wayward. I love that cover. I am so glad I read this. I read it in October, and so I'm going to be doing my review very soon, but it also would have fit as a November, and I think even a December, because even though it's got some really bad family things, it's got some other things in it as well that I think go through lots of seasons, that would work really well through lots of seasons. So this book actually has 3 protagonists. It follows 3 different women from the same family line in different time periods. So the ones who are in the toxic families, the middle story from the early 1940s, she is a child whose father has, we're not sure, done what with her mother, but she believes that she knows her mother has died. She doesn't know what or how her father is involved with that. Her father has very little time or patience for her. He's very aggressively condescending to her. He just doesn't seem to like her existence. I think the more and more she ages, the more she looks like the mother, and so you don't know what that situation is. She has a cousin who comes into the house and really bad stuff happens. And so she is really trapped in a super negative family situation growing up. The last family member is from current day, and she is escaping from a abusive marriage where she has lost all control over her own life, including what she wears. She's not allowed to decide what clothes to put on. She doesn't get to have friends. She doesn't get to keep her own money. She doesn't get to keep her own job. And she's constantly being belittled. She's constantly being hurt. And she's finally decided that this is enough. And so her story begins with her getting out of that situation and trying to escape and make a better life for herself. Again, the premise and all of that for this book, I will absolutely give you in the wrap up, but it totally fits this list, and it's so good. It's really, really good. If you haven't had a chance to read this one, I very, very strongly suggest it. The next thing on this list is Godshot by Chelsea Bieker, and I know this has been behind me for multiple videos if you are unfamiliar with it. So there is the cover. I read this a while ago, but it's really, really good. It is about a young teenage girl, 13, 14 years old. She is in a cult. And her mother is an alcoholic. I guess that's coming up a lot in these. Her alcoholic mother gets excommunicated from the cult, and instead of taking her daughter with her, she just takes off and leaves her to the cult. And the girl ends up staying with a grandmother who is also like a 100% devoted believer in this cult preacher, and terrible things happen to this young girl, all in the name of family, or doing what her family needs and what her family expects, and her family being not just blood family but also this cult that she's in, and how she deals with trying to make sense of the world that she's in and protect herself, and eventually, I'm not gonna say, but it's really, really good. It's really, really strong. If you've ever been in or have interest in really controlling religious environments, you might really enjoy this book. The next is the first book that I ended up getting from Book of the Month, and I really enjoyed it. And it is Advika and the Hollywood Wives. This fits this category, not because Advika didn't have a loving family, she did. What happens before the book ever starts is her twin, I believe it's a twin or it's a close sister in age anyway, but I think they're twins. She dies in an accident. Advika blames herself, and her parents in their grief abandon her. So she had this close-knit family, and her parents, they can't handle the reminders of their dead child, including Advika, because they look alike. And so they literally leave the country and abandon her here alone. So she is gone from, you know, this tight-knit family of 4 to basically being completely alone. And she ends up suffering from severe depression, and it sets the tone for her getting into what ends up being a very bad marriage. And so this fits this list in 2 ways. She's been abandoned by her birth family, and then she signs into being a family with someone else who also bad news. So Advika and the Hollywood Wives, but I really liked it. I know the reviews aren't that great on Goodreads, but I really liked this. And finally, I don't think I can make a video without mentioning Fourth Wing. So here it is, Fourth Wing. This meets this list because our main character, Violet, has a mother who does not have a mother-daughter relationship with her. Her mother is the general of the military school that she grew up in, that she is now a cadet in. And they don't have, like I said, they don't have a mother-daughter relationship. They basically have a general cadet relationship. Her mother never talks to her. Her mother never listens to her. Her mother on occasion will talk at her if Violet seeks her out or tries to have a conversation or finds herself around her mother. Her mother will either bark at her or will say things to her so that the other people around can hear her saying those things to her. And Violet never knows what's going on or why or what her mother's got that's making this happen like this. And so Before the book even starts, her mother has decided that Violet, who is very small, very weak, has some type of ailment where all of her ligaments are very loose, so she sprains things and breaks things incredibly easily. But she's going to go into the most dangerous school there, which is the dragon riding school, where something like 3/4 of the kids all end up like dying in their first year, like every year. And she's forcing her to do this, even though, as far as Violet is concerned, she's gonna die. And she feels like her mother has basically just said, I want you dead, so you're gonna go here and you don't have a choice. And so that's the toxic relationship in this one. I loved this book. It's most definitely gonna be in the tops of what I read this year. I loved it. I loved it more than the sequel. I will admit that I have some issues with the sequel, but this I thought was absolutely chef's kiss. Okay, so there we go. Some great books about not so great family situations and not so great family dynamics. And so whether you had a great week or just a week that you are super proud of yourself for getting through, I'm super proud of you as well. And I absolutely hope that you have an amazing rest of this week and that you get to read some really amazing books. Bye, y'all.